We'll make a motion to reconvene too, correct?
What?
Just a motion to reconvene.
We don't, actually, Jackie said we don't need one.
Okay. All right, guys, it looks like we are good to go and we can reconvene. And then just jump into item 3.2 again. I did confirm we do not need to make another motion to start the meeting again. And so we'll jump into item 3.2, and now that we have the screen share, we can maybe go back to, I think it was lots 322, 101, and just talk about those real quick as to make sure we covered those, and then we can move on from that. Bryn, do you want to pull up the screen where, because I think we'll be able to see the lots a lot better now that you have the slideshow. Not wanting to move. Well, let's talk it through, guys, because I think we're able to go through with the developer those lots and the concerns, while Bryn's able to see if she can download this to actually speed it up. But Adam, we were talking about lot 322 and lot 101. Do you want to just I think the other question too, as I thought about it, and is that we do have the park strip right there, so that may be something that the city can maintain. But the other question is this a HOA? Correct. That's what my question was. Correct. So I can't remember, is this development a HOA? Well, then who's maintaining all the paths that go through in between some of these yards?
What about the perimeter, though?
Michael's asking about the perimeter. Is the perimeter all city maintained as well? Yes. Okay. Okay. I only have one question. With the two parks, did we talk about the amenities or what was provided within those parks? I wanted to make sure. Well, I think we want to include it, whatever it might be, so we know what we're getting.
Landscaping in this phase they will take care of, with the exception of the one that connects to the Teton Village open
The
space,
one that connects to the trail on the top side, correct?
the triangular piece, because there's a couple trails.
Parcel A? Are you talking about parcel A? Or
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
I
looking
think I
for it.
am.
Probably.
like a triangular
Yes,
shape?
parcel
Yeah, it's to the right of 137. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then,
Is there a bridge that goes over this from?
Yeah, we'll do a bridge.
Okay. Because I mean, if the developer does that, I would definitely consider that amenity associated with this. If we're doing it, that's just a whole nother thing. So I just want to make sure we take it into consideration, however that's going to work.
So if we said to have all the landscaping come back to us with the exception of parcel A, which is the triangle piece up by the knuckle that connects to the channel there, Rin, is that correct?
Yes,
Because they will landscape everything else. Parcel A will be done by the city with capital
with
facilities
impact fees. Yes.
impact. But the rest is their responsibility, including the 6,400 west, the 6,000 west landscaping, the 126 landscaping.
Yes.
Okay.
Good. Go, Adam.
You feel comfortable, Adam?
I think so. I just got to find the right page. Just give me a second to find the right one. I'd like to make a motion to approve item 3.2 with staff's 20 recommendations with, I'm going to have, I think, 4 more recommendations to add to. So item number 21, that no access be permitted on 6,400 west, 12600 south, or Mustang Trail Way. That will be on the plat. That, I guess this would be 22. That lots 241, 240, 109, 108, 200, 201, 153, and 154 will only be permitted to have cul-de-sac access into the cul-de-sac and no other roadways. And that will also be on the plats to make sure people do not try and get other accesses. Do you want me to reread those, Bryn, slower?
Yes.
Okay.
Wendy said yes as well.
Okay, so lots, I'm gonna go in numerical order. 153, 154, 108, 109, 200, 201, 240, and 241.
Okay.
Those are the ones that are only allowed access into the cul-de-sac.
Okay.
Then number 23, that lots 101 and 322, the driveways will only be on the west side of the property. And that lots 167 and 195, the driveways will only be permitted on the east side only. And then number 24, that all landscaping to come back to the planning commission for final approval. The landscaping will include all landscaping with the exception of parcel A in the proposed development. and will address the landscaping in front of all of the lots that I referenced in motion 22.
Second.
They're voting on 3-2.
That's a motion by Adam, and I believe that was Andrea. A
Yes.
second by Andrea. Okay. We'll call for a vote. Andrea?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
And Brody?
Yes.
Thank you so much. We will move on to item 3.3, but we will give Lauren a chance to jump back on at this time.
This is Corey. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to bow out now. We appreciate the approval or the recommendation, so thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Now, as soon as Lauren's back on, we'll jump into item 3.3, which is a request for a preliminary plot approval for 48 single-family lots known as Hidden Oaks Pod 1, Phase 1. And this item is on for a public hearing as well. And I'll read the public comment policy while we wait for Lauren. Public comment and policy procedure. The purpose of public comment is to allow citizens to address items on the agenda. Citizens requesting to address the commission at this time will actually make a comment that Wendy will share with us that we will read to the planning commission. And then from there, we'll just continue to share any of those remarks. So is Lauren back on at this time? So it looks like Lauren's back on, but he's muted by the organizer. It also looks like he's self-muted. I'm just reading how they word it.
I'm back.
There you go.
All right, guys. We will turn to city staff on this to begin.
Okay, I think, hold on. So,
Bryn, we're setting
Bryn,
it back up. Where I'm gonna, I guess, drive just so it's a lot faster to move from screen to screen.
okay.
At least that's what we're working on.
I believe, Bryn, you could probably talk about it while they're doing that, though.
Except what are we talking about? I can't see it without the screen.
Pod 48 single-family lots known as Hidden Oaks Pod 1.
All right, Hidden Oaks Pod 1. So we talked a little bit last week in our meeting about these. So most of the rest of these are all phases of Hidden Oaks. We've approved a couple phases, maybe just one phase of Hidden Oaks already. But so tonight we've got 3 on. So if you remember, they're all on, they all have 2 applications. So one for the preliminary plat, so just the subdivision, and then one for the final site plan, which is a requirement of the PUD overlay zone. So they're all, I'm just gonna do one presentation basically for each of these, but they're 2 different actions you have to take. And there are 2 different sets of requirements in your staff report.
Great. Can you see that, Bryn?
Yes, I can see it now.
All right, great.
So the first one is pod 20. So there you go. That's on this is really the only pod on the south side of Main Street there. But if you want to go to the next slide. So again, this is the overall Hidden Oaks plan here on the Danzy property. So again, we're on pod 1 there on the south side. You can see the land use table that shows you how many units go in each pod, and we'll kind of go over that. So again, just highlighting pod 1 there. So the one on the left is what the whole thing will look like. The one on the right is the first 48 lots, which is what they've submitted now. They're just going to do the first phase, which is 48 lots. Like we talked a little bit about in the pre-meeting, they can do, trying to find the number here, 78 lots, up to 76 in this phase. And they are showing 64. They just need to show, let me say that again. You're supposed to have 63 up to 76. They're showing 64. So they just need to show where that additional lot will be coming from. And again, they can pull that from another pod. They just need to show us where they're reducing it from. So this again, you can see their landscape plan. These are all public streets. And there's not really any amenities in this first little phase here. So really the only landscaping is the street trees. I did not include the street tree one. They are talking about renaming a bunch of these after trees and then changing all the trees on those streets to be those trees. The landscaping plans you have might change a little bit. I didn't think that you guys would care that much because it's kind of a cool idea. But again, they will be changing some of the tree layouts a little bit on all of these pods. So again, then you've got the building elevations. I did not put all of the elevations in the PowerPoint, just an example of some of them. And you can see they all look really nice. This is Perry Homes on this first phase here. Their setbacks were all part of their MDA, so those are all laid out already in their design guidelines. I think that's it from me. Any questions on this one?
Not for me.
They meet the minimum lot size requirements, lot widths. This is a pretty straightforward part of the subdivision here, so.
I had just a random question. So on those images, it showed like the garages with some extra, not just the plain white garage, but it had windows and some accents and things like that. Is that in the design standards for this project, or?
No, that isn't necessarily required, but I mean, that's what they're showing on their elevations, so.
Okay.
All right, then the next item we'll actually turn over to the applicant so they can share any additional information. Is the applicant present?
Yes, this is Dan Reed with Perry Homes. Can you hear me?
We can. Thank you, Dan.
Okay. What Bryn shared basically covered what we needed to present. We're here to answer any questions you have.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from the Planning Commission before I open the public hearing? All right, we may have some questions afterwards, Dan, but I'm going to open the public hearing first.
Thank you.
So we will open the public hearing at this time. As of right now, we have no comments. So we'll close the public hearing at this time and then turn to the Planning Commission.
I don't have any comments. This is Brody. I guess the only question is when we make it's a recommendation for the preliminary plat requirements and the site plan requirements. Is that correct, Bryn? Do we do two of them?
Yeah, so you'll want to make two separate motions. Again, yeah, one with the preliminary plat on the first one, and then one with the site plan requirements on the second one. But yeah, two separate motions.
But the first one, Brody, is a recommendation. The second one is our approval, correct, Bryn?
They're both your approvals.
Okay.
Both for you.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the preliminary plat requirements 1 through 12.
I'll second it.
All right, motion by Brody and a second by Adam, and we'll call for a vote. Andrea?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Lauren?
Oh.
Lauren?
Are
you there or are you on mute?
He's muted.
It does look like you're muted. Lauren Palmer?
Oh, there you are.
Oh, there you are.
Yes.
All right, Adam?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
And Brody?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. So that motion is approved for 3.3. It was
Adam
was the motion, and the second. No. Brody and then Adam. Brody motioned, Adam second. All right, and then we'll
And
look
then I'd like
for.
to make
There you go.
a motion to approve the site plan of item 3.3 with the requirements 1 through 14.
This is Adam. I'll second that one as well.
All right, motion by Brody and a second by Adam, and we'll call for a vote. Brody,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Adam,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
and Andrea.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We'll now move on to item 3.5, which is a request for a preliminary plot approval for 88 single-family lots known as Hidden Oaks Pod 20. And that item is on for a public hearing as well, but we'll turn to city staff to start.
Oh, and I did not change the map on that one. So go to the next slide so that doesn't make me look bad. There we go. Pod 20 is on the north side of the road. Yeah, and again, you can see the land use plan. So this is their layout. It's kind of a long cul-de-sac running east to west. And then the trail is on the north side of that, the trail and open space. And they do have a couple trail connections that go through there. This phase is also Perry, so the same elevations that you saw on the last one. If you want to go to the next couple slides, we've got the plat in here. It's broken up into a couple different pages because it's longer. But again, they meet all of the requirements as far as the size of the lots and the width of the lots. The number of lots, double check. I think they had a couple extra in this one too.
Yeah, it was 81 was what was allowed, but they have 88. So there was,
There you
again,
go.
you show us, yeah, where the
Yeah,
extra
got a
lots
few
were.
extra, which they can do. They just need to show us where they're removing them from. So
Hey, Brent,
Yeah,
with this
showing it.
being sub-phased, how do we normally do that? Normally, it's the master developer, but that would update the spreadsheet and show the lots popping from one side to the other. I assume they're good with that, right?
yeah, because like I said, I mean, all of these phases tonight, some of them are removing them, some of them are adding them, so they're not going to have a problem being over. They just need to update, yeah, the master spreadsheet. And really, in this case, I mean, Ivory is kind of the master developer on this, but they're working hand in hand with Perry. So we'll make sure that Ivory gets us an updated spreadsheet on all the units.
So for the next phases after this, we will see an updated spreadsheet with the numbers that have been approved from tonight.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Then if the developers present, we'll see if they have anything to share on this item.
Yes, this is Dan Reed with Perry Homes again. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. To touch on that point, and sorry I did not touch on it on pod 1, but yes, Brent is exactly right. We are increasing some pods, decreasing others tonight between our pods and Ivory's pods 4, 5, 6, and 7. For example, yes, pod 20, the original base density was 81 with a max density transfer of 97. We are coming in at 88, so we're 7 over on that pod. But for example, on pod 4 of Ivory's, the base density was 88, and that one's coming in at 73. So it's a decrease of 15. So we can certainly share with you the net density. It's actually an increase of 1 lot of all of these pods, which certainly will be accounted for in the future pods. You know, we would decrease by 1 in the future pods as they come on. So, but again, we can share that between us and Ivory. We can share that with you tomorrow, whenever's convenient, Brent.
Just because I'm a little slow, what I heard you say is between all the the three motions tonight on the agenda, you'll only be up +1 overall.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Which again will be made up in future pods as those are brought on.
Perfect.
you so much.
Thank you so much.
Are
there any other remarks?
Beyond that, no, but certainly happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you so much. At this time, we will open the public hearing, and then if there's additional questions or comments from the Planning Commission, we'll go to that. So we'll open the public hearing.
We're 3.5.
She's looking right now to see if there's any comments. All right, no comments on this item as well. So we will close the public hearing, and then we'll go to the Planning Commission for additional remarks.
Hey, Bren, this is Adam. I just have one simple question. It's actually on the site plan requirements, number 12.
Okay.
Is that just a catch-all? Is that why that's in there? At least 20% of the planned PUD?
Yeah, that's just the same requirement from because again, they had a preliminary site plan basically approved with the whole thing. And then some of these conditions just carry over from that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because not that it's a big deal, but I wanted to make sure there wasn't one deleted because it goes from 10 to 12. So I just wanted to double check.
Nope, that's just me making sure you're paying attention.
With that, I'm ready to make a motion, Chair.
All right. Real quick, any other remarks? Or are we good for a motion? Okay, go ahead, Adam.
I move to approve item 3.4 with
3.5. We're on 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5.
I'm sorry, 3.5 with staff's 14 requirements.
Motion by Adam. Second by Brody. So motion by Adam, a second by Brody, and we'll call for a vote on item 3.5. Andrea?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yep.
Adam?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
And Brody.
Yes.
All right, guys. We'll then move on to item 3.6, which is the site plan approval for 88 single-family lots known as Hidden Oaks Pod 20, and look for a motion.
Do we need to do the site plan requirements? And because there was the preliminary plat and site plan requirements, do we have to do two motions?
Yes.
We are doing the second motion here, yeah.
Sorry.
For item 3.6, we do have to do additional motion.
And I can make a motion to approve item 3.6, if I got the number right, with staff's 14 requirements.
This is Andy. I'll second.
Motion by Adam, a second by Andy, and we'll call for a vote with Andrea.
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
And Brody.
Yes.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll now move on to item 3.7, which is also on for a public hearing, and we'll turn to the city staff.
All right, so this is Hidden Oaks pods 4 through 7. We've already approved pod 4 phase 1. So this is really the rest of pod 4 and then 5, 6, and 7. So again, you can see where it is. It's kind of all the lots on the north side of the road. And this is really to help us get the roads up to the schools. And we'll go over that in a little bit. So if you want to go to the next slide again, you can just see the location in the preliminary PUD plan that was approved. And then on the next slides, we'll see the site plan, which is absolutely impossible to read, but you've got all of it in your packet, so you can see all the lot sizes do comply. The minimum in all of them is 6,000 square feet, and then the upper range varies. Some of them are 6 to 8, some of them are 6 to 10, but they do all meet those requirements. The only one, if you want to go to the next slide, the only one that had, and again, that just gives you an idea of of some of the different lot sizes through there. On the next slide, the only one that had the issues like we talked about in the work meeting is that pod 7. So some of those lots, I keep moving my mouse and you can't see it. So just, read my mind. The lots along the west side of pod 7 need to vary by 1,000 square feet. Let me double check those words. Yeah, they can't be within 1,000 square feet of each other. So the lots along that side, and that is in your requirement already for the site plan and the plat, will need to be adjusted. So they may lose a couple lots right there as they make those adjustments, because you can see those are all right at 6,000. So I don't know that they'll be able to move them around without having to lose a couple lots. So
Also, we wanted to address the weird alley road thing, right?
And let's address that after we close the public hearing and talk to the developer. But Adam, one thing with that as well is I'm wondering if 724 or 725, if that ends up becoming a slight cul-de-sac because it has to, if those will be included on that side.
Yeah, I think it'd be a knuckle kind of thing, but yeah, I agree.
And so, but let's hear from, if Bryn's done, let's hear from the builder applicant, and then we'll open the public hearing, and then we can address all of this.
Can you hear me? This is Brad Mackey with Ivory Development.
We can, Brad. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Sorry I wasn't at the work meeting. This is the first I've heard of any variation in lot size. So I was unaware of that in any of our past reviews. That's the first time I've ever heard of that. So I'm a little caught off guard with that size requirement. So I'll have to look into that and see where that's coming from, because I'm unaware of it. And the reason that those lots are changed, we've tried to diversify, as you've requested in the past, to have a wide variety of lot sizes. So as Dan Reeve with Perry mentioned before, we've removed several lots from pod 4 so that we can create some larger lots and transferred some density around to create a variety of lot mix. I believe like lot 217 is 18,000 square feet. So, and then we've added 4 10,000 square foot lots in pod 5, where the requirement was 3. So we've tried to add a bunch of diversity as much as we possibly can with what we have to work with, just to create a better feeling neighborhood.
All right. Thank you. Is there anything in addition that you'd like to share on this?
No, I just appreciate working with you all, and your staff has been fantastic to work with. So I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I'm sure we're going to have some questions and maybe something to talk about, but let me open the public hearing and let's get through that first, and then we'll be able to address the items. At this time, we'll open the public hearing.
Do you see anything for this item? Nope.
And seeing no comments from the public, we will close the public hearing, and then we will turn to the Planning Commission, which we may have some questions. And Bryn, if you want to address real quickly the variance and where that comes from for the applicant, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, so that requirement comes right from the, it took us some digging. We were trying to, go through the development agreement, make sure we were compliant with every part of it. And that is right out of the development agreement, that it says those lots adjacent to that side of the school have to vary, like I said, can't be within 1,000 square feet of each other. So that comes right out of the development agreement.
So one could be like 6,000, the next one could be 7,000, then go back to 6. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay. And then I think the other thing to address is just 725 and 724, because I think an ideal scenario is to make that more like one of those half cul-de-sacs where it actually goes around. At least in my mind, I think that has a little better flow, but I know that will affect the amount of lots and size. But I think with how it currently is, there's definitely some questions. And so if I could hear from the rest of the planning commission, then of course, if there's any questions for the applicant, let's also address those.
I'm just curious, like there's kind of an open spot right after lot 737. What's that kind of blank spot for? I don't know if you could.
That has been set aside for a seminary site for the junior high school.
Okay. Makes sense.
So Brad, this is Adam. My only issue is from 724 to 737 and come in compliance with what Brent said, as well as the knuckle concept. I don't think wouldn't this have to have, isn't that a private drive, a shared private drive, which we don't allow? Brent?
That would be some kind of, private little road, shared private something. And I'm not sure yet.
Brad, I think if you did a knuckle right there, and you might have to lose one lot and transfer somewhere else, but I think that's my only issue with your entire site plan. I think everything else you did accomplish what we had talked about in the past discussions. So thank you.
Yeah, in looking at it, I may be able to move some things around near 738 to 744 to get an extra lot there. And then if I put a knuckle, I'll probably lose one lot, but I'll pick up some extra square footage that I could possibly distribute. So let me see what I can do and see if I can manipulate some things without losing a lot. I've already lost one lot trying to make lots bigger in pod 4 and 5. So I'm not really wanting to lose any more lots, of course. So let me see what I can do.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any other items from the planning commission on this that we want to address?
Just a quick thought. Are there any retaining walls in this project with the slopes that occur here?
Right now, I'm not planning on any retaining walls. We've positioned the open space of parcel A, which is where the hillside would be, and we've tried to adjust road grades to create daylight basements in pod 5, which also raises the backyards adjacent to the hillside, so we don't need retaining walls. So right now, we're not proposing any.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think we need to see those one lots we talked about. So sadly, I think that's still kind of in that continue line for me.
I'm in agreement, seeing what is going to happen between, and I have to add 724 into, but in between 724 to 737, just to see what is going to go on with that. I think it's hard to really have this proceed forward without knowing what that's going to end up being.
Could we proceed with 4, 5, and 6 if they're acceptable?
Not if he wants to try and transfer the lot around if he has to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and where it's all one application, it'd be kind of hard to approve part of it.
Okay.
If we continue this, do we have to do another hearing?
No,
we close the public hearing. Yeah, we close the public hearing.
But if it's changing, then we'd have to do it again. So.
And I'm fine with staff reviewing this through engineering and make sure it meets that requirement. But if you guys want to see it back, that's always your choice.
I want to see it back.
I know you do.
I appreciate the applicant work on this. So I really think we're really close. So and the master development agreement with the variance in sizes of 1,000 square feet, we just have to keep that in mind. So, and as long as that's addressed in the future, I think we should be good. So we're right there, guys. So, but I will look at the planning commission for a motion at this time.
I move to continue item 3.7 without date.
Motion by Adam,
This is Andy, I'll second.
second by Andy, and we'll call for a vote. Andrea,
Yes.
Adam,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and Brody.
Yes, the item.
All right, thank you. Yes. Andrea, you did make a motion, right? Wendy's asking.
Just Andy.
Andrea, did you make a motion on this?
Oh,
No.
No, Andrea, did you vote on this? Sorry.
Yes.
That's what I thought. Wendy was just double checking. I was like, I think so. So, all right. And then item 3.8.
I move to continue item 3.8 without date as well.
I'll second. Andy.
And a second by Andy. Andrea,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Adam,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and Brody.
Yes.
And then we will move on to item 3.9, which is a request for a review of the development plan for Wasatch South Hills Pod 5, which is the sand and gravel operation. And we'll go to city staff.
All right, so this property is part of the South Hills Development Agreement. So they are codified and vested under the old zoning ordinance from 2008. So the sand and gravel operation is a use that was allowed in that zone. It's not allowed in the ordinance anymore. So one of their requirements, if you want to go to the next slide, one of the requirements of their approval for their operation was that they come back and submit you a development plan. So this was their grading plan. And then again, as you go through, so they submitted there's a grading plan, and then there is a development plan. I think it's on the next slide. Maybe it's the next one. Development plan that shows where the roads will be laid out and where the pads are for future development. Again, they don't, they haven't laid out the exact lots or anything here, but this just shows you, I think, the intent of what we're looking for, which is that they're grading for development, that the roads will lay out, and they're not grading it, leaving it unusable, creating a big hole there. They're just grading it to prepare it for this development. So again, we already approved the use. The development plan was just required to come back to you. So we just need to make sure you're good with the proposed plan.
Brendan, if I remember right, A, B, and C were apartments and D and E were residential, correct?
No.
Then I'm wrong. What was it gonna be?
This whole pod is shown on their master plan as residential of some sort. I think it's all single family.
Okay.
I think you're referencing off of Redwood.
Probably.
Probably.
It's 115.
Maybe, but yeah, this
Or
is pod
1-15.
pod 5 of South Hills, and it's shown on their master plan as single family residential.
Okay.
Okay. Is the applicant present with any additional information?
Yes, this is Josh Roy with Wasatch.
Is there any additional information you'd like to share in regards to this, Josh?
No, I think Bryn said it all, but basically, right now we have no. I mean, we're just grading for super pads. Like Bryn said, these are just super pads. We don't have anything else to lay out right now. This is just what we're doing, just like Bryn said. So yeah, it's right now it's residential, low density. Is there kind of a future plan for this?
All right, thank you, Josh. Are there any questions for the applicant? All right, thank you so much, Josh. And if you're not sitting, you can go take a seat. There's two items that I just want to share that we did talk about earlier, just so everyone's aware of it. And the first one is, and Bryn, maybe you can share this, the review for every 6 months of what exactly that is. And then also, I think Blake also shared, just to make sure that this doesn't become a eyesore long term, and some of the protection we have as a city.
Yeah, so they do, there is a requirement that we review the use every 6 months. It is meant to be a temporary use that they're grading, again, for an upcoming development. And they also are required to bond a certain amount so that we can reclaim the property if anything happens. They have to have traffic control. I mean, their original conditions, there's 14 of them. You've got them in your packet. They can't have unnecessary dust, noise, the hours of operation, all that will be looked at. And then they can't be within 600 feet of a residence. So, if a pod adjacent to this starts to develop, then they would have to, seriously change their operation there. So.
All right, thank you, Bryn. And then if there's no other remarks, I guess we can look at making a motion on this item.
I have one for Blake. I just want to ask, there's a couple spots where we're allowing it to go to 65% slope or 50% slope with no wall or retainage. They're right along, they're the substantial areas along the South Hills Boulevard and down kind of by the detention pond. I get the 30%, but the 50% are the only ones that I had some question on. They seemed rather steep.
Mm-hmm. It's a good question. So just keep in mind that this is a temporary grading situation. So they'll grade it and then they'll come in with plans for the road and the pads. And when those come in, those slopes will have to be kept back to a 3-to-1 with a wall. So we wouldn't want them to put a wall in now and then have that alignment of that road or that pad shift and then have a wall that would have to be removed. So
I get that. I'm more worried about the 65% because it's pretty close between Road 1 and the South Hills Boulevard. And it will eat into that pad to do your 3-to-1 that you're proposing. It will basically make it no pad. So I'm good everywhere else, but honestly, that stretch right there, I don't know how they'll make that up.
Which pad are you looking at? Which is it, the between Road 1 and
it would be pad B on the south side. You'll see that it has a 2.1% towards the road, but then it skyrockets uphill at 65% up to the South Hills. It's on page, sorry, I don't know what page I'm on.
166.
Yeah, 166. Thanks, Andy.
Yep.
The other one, I think you could make up the 50 to 44 and go to 3-to-1, but I don't know how you would do the 65% grade without affecting half of the lots on the south side of Road 1 in pad B.
Yeah, are these grades here, Blake, are these just the temporary like you mentioned? These aren't the final, or are they final?
It would become the final, right? Because they're going to go.
Well, there would be a
final.
There would be a design for the pad for the subdivision that was next to Road 1. There would be a design, and then we would require a wall because they can't exceed a 3-to-1 per the standard. So it'd be, this is just the temporary condition. Then when the subdivision plan comes in, we'd make sure that we'd meet the slope requirement.
So you think we'll be good and there won't be a problem and this will be buildable? Because that's my only concern, is it feels like it's making it unbuildable. Just right there.
Yeah. What I would imagine they'll actually end up doing is leaving that sloping a constant grade from South Hills Boulevard down to Road 1. And then at the very, very end of their grading operation, coming back and digging that back and bringing in a subdivision plan at that time. So I don't see them leaving a 65% slope there for very long. It wouldn't be very stable with rain and erosion. So I think this is just a guideline to show what they're grading to. It doesn't really show the phasing, and that's really up to them where they're going to phase their grading at. So I think it's achievable, and this gives us the tool to monitor it every 6 months and make sure they're going to where they need to be And then we can continue to work with them on their subdivision plans as they develop those up as that comes along. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you think we should have something in here, like maybe number 15 that says, once subdivision comes in, no slopes over 3:1 without a wall?
You can definitely put that in there, but that is also in the engineering standards too. So, and it was in the standards that were adopted with their MDA as well.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're protected. If you think we are, we're good. I'm good then.
Yep, I think we're good, but you're welcome to put that in there too, just to remind us to do it.
All right.
All right. Any other comments on this? Seeing no further comments, then we'll look for a motion at this time.
Because what is the motion? My apologies. So, all right, hold on. I will make a motion to approve item 3.9. We'll just leave it at that with the previous 14 recommendations that staff had.
Motion by Andy.
I'll second it. It's Adam.
Second by Adam, and we'll call for a vote. Andrea?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
And Brody.
Yes.
All right, guys, thank you so much. That's all of the items. Are there any additional comments from the City Planning Commission? All right, seeing none, the future meetings are on Wednesday, April 22nd, will be City Council meeting at 7:30 p.m. Planning Commission meeting, the next one we will hold will be May 7th at 7 p.m. And then the City Council meeting after that will be May 13th at 7:30 p.m. All in favor for a motion to adjourn? Or motion to adjourn?
Sorry, Chris.
Yes, Andrew?
Are
Hold
we
on.
having a joint meeting on the 29th?
We're going back and forth on that. I'm not sure. I don't know if I can deal with all of you and the council on one meeting like this.
We would be great.
Man.
So, we are talking about it. We will let you know.
Yeah. At
Come on, we need
in
to
time,
interact.
I think we're leaning towards not having it. We'd only schedule it if there is some business that we really need to conduct on that night. So.
Okay, thank you, Michael. And then a motion to adjourn
Bye, Adam.
by Adam, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, guys. We will talk to you guys later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys.